Channel open. Welcome back to WeeklyTrek, a proud member of the Tricorder Transmissions podcast network and presented in partnership with TrekCore.com. I am your host, Alex Perry.
What's today's date? The date.
Today's show was recorded on August 23rd, 2022, and is current through Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 1, so beware of spoilers. All right, let's get into the show.
Good day, Voyager, and welcome to A Briefing with Neelix. It's a catchy title, isn't it?
WeeklyTrek is a regular news show covering the biggest stories from the Star Trek franchise. We are in a new golden age of Star Trek. There are 5 television shows in production, possibly more on the way, and enough merchandise to fill the Bajoran wormhole. So stick with me and I'll help you sort the real facts from lots of the Dominion propaganda that you'll find online. But I can't do this alone, and my guest this week is returning guest, co-host of the Snap Trek podcast, TrekCore's own, and my Trekonderoga travel buddy. It's Jen Tift. Jen, welcome back to WeeklyTrek.
Hey, Alex. Great to be here.
All right, Jen. Well, you know the drill. I want to know something that's got you feeling good about Star Trek at the moment. What's got you moving at Warp 10?
You spoiled it a little bit. I was going to talk about Trekonderoga.
All right, go for it.
It was a great weekend. Yep. I had never been to the set tour before, and it was incredible.
You had a good time?
Yeah. I mean, I knew what to expect with the set tour. I've seen pictures of it, but once you actually get there, I wasn't prepared. It was amazing. I was doing okay until I got to the warp core, and then all of a sudden I walked into engineering, and engineering was real and the warp core was real, and that's when I lost it. It was great.
Yeah, there really is nothing like experiencing that warp core for the first time.
Yeah. Oh, it was incredible. That was even better than the bridge to me. It was so good.
No, this was my 3rd time going, and obviously you were there. It was your first time. A couple of our other friends, it was their first time seeing it too. And I mean, I was as giddy as a school kid seeing it for the 3rd time as I was seeing it the first time. I mean, there really is nothing else quite like having that kind of experience, and sharing it with people that, you think are very special, who, are experiencing it for the first time themselves. And, having that opportunity to get up close and personal with the various different sets of the Enterprise, right? The warp core, the corridors, the transporter room, sick bay. I mean, it really is this truly immersive piece. And obviously we'll be talking about the Next Generation set pieces that they showed off a little bit later, because that's one of our stories today. But yeah, I mean, I can't get enough of that place. It really is truly magical.
Yeah, highly recommend it.
Okay, so obviously we'll set the engineering aside, because I saw your reaction walking into engineering, and I don't want to embarrass you on air, but what would you say was...
I didn't cry. You can't prove that I cried.
Oh, there were many witnesses, Jen. Aside from engineering, what was your favorite part of the set tour?
Aside from engineering? I'm still going to give you more engineering stuff. I mean, there was the Jeffries tube, the diagonal Jeffries tube, which was amazing. Okay, but if I'm not doing engineering stuff, honestly, sounds silly if you haven't been there, but being in the corridor.
I told you.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, that's the most immersive part, is like you are literally walking down the hall of the Enterprise, and it's a little it's jarring, and it's incredible. I can't describe it. Like I laughed when people say like the corridor is one of the best parts, but it truly is.
I seem to recall telling you the corridor was the best part right before we went in there, and you looked at me like, "Are you fucking serious right now?"
This is the unfortunate part of the evening where I have to admit that Alexander T. Perry was right.
Yes, it was all worth it. Thank you, Jen. Thank you to all of my listeners. Live long and prosper.
Bye. Yeah. No. Oh, but the whole thing, it's incredible. I wanted to eat the gumdrop buttons.
Well, I'm glad you didn't, because we would have been thrown out.
I didn't touch anything I wasn't supposed to.
All right, let me tell you the thing I'm feeling good about Star Trek this week, which is obviously I feel really good about just having gone to Trekonderoga. It was a fabulous weekend with fabulous friends filled with magical experiences of all different sorts. But Star Trek Las Vegas, the former Star Trek Las Vegas, aka now called the 56-year mission. I guess next year it'll be the 57-year mission, and the year after that will be the 58-year mission, is in Las Vegas, Nevada. Tomorrow, we're recording this Tuesday, even though this will come out probably after the convention has taken place. But I don't know what happened. But hey, since Paramount's not there. It means that there's probably not going to be much by way of news, but it still will be a fun time to spend with a completely different group of friends than the ones who were in Ticonderoga, and have a different set of magical experiences with those friends. So yeah, it's always a fun time. This will be my latest STLV since my first one was 2011. I've been every other year, and it's at Bally's this year, not at the Rio, because of the renovations that seem, I guess, not to be happening at the Rio, but for some reason they're not at the Rio this year. They say they're going back next year, and people have already started sending pictures of, you know, the different setup and the way the like ballrooms look, and so it's starting to feel very real. And I am looking forward to getting out there tomorrow. So that's what I'm feeling good about Star Trek this week.
It's a lot of traveling.
It is a lot of traveling. Yeah. Ticonderoga, New York is further away than one might expect.
It is in the middle of nowhere, but it's worth it. Gorgeous scenery up there.
All right. With that, let's turn to the week's top stories.
There's a war going on, and I'm a reporter.
Well, for the third year running, Paramount Global is set to celebrate Star Trek Day on September 8th with a live stream event celebrating the Star Trek franchise and likely featuring new news and reveals about many of the shows that are currently in production. Hosted this year by Pod Directive host and Star Trek Lower Decks actors Tawny Newsome and Paul F. Tompkins, Star Trek Day will be live streamed from the Skirball Center in Los Angeles worldwide on Thursday, September 8th, beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern, that's 12 p.m. Pacific, or 8 p.m. if you're in the UK. The red carpet will be hosted by Star Trek Discovery actor Mary Chieffo and RuPaul's Drag Race superstar and huge Star Trek fan Jackie Cox. This year's Star Trek Day event will feature back-to-back in-person conversations with cast members from the Star Trek universe, along with exciting announcements and reveals throughout, and is set to include a, quote, few surprises yet to be revealed. This includes panels on Star Trek Picard, Star Trek Prodigy, Star Trek Lower Decks, and Star Trek Strange New Worlds, with Wilson Cruz leading a virtual tour of the Star Trek Discovery sets as Season 5 filming continues in Toronto, Canada. The event is also set to feature a tribute to the recently departed Nichelle Nichols, a cosplay contest, and will feature music from Reggie Watts from The Late Late Show with James Corden. Jen, what do you think you're most looking forward to about Star Trek Day this year?
Well, I mean, I'm always interested to hear Tawny Newsome and Paul F. Tompkins. I enjoy their podcast and they're great fun. So I think the whole vibe of Star Trek Day is going to be a great vibe. I'm looking forward to our red carpet hosts this year.
Yep.
That's one place they had some room for improvement.
Yeah,
and it sounds like it's going to be great this year with who they have hosting those segments. I'm excited to see, if there's any big announcements, of course. I'm looking forward to see, we have Reggie Watts. I'm looking forward to see if there's any Reggie's questions, which are always fun, just his random questions. Maybe he'll get a chance to ask some Reggie's questions, which would be fun. Yeah, no, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. I love that they do this.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's great. And I'm super looking forward to this as always. And it's funny. And, I think they really did take on board a bunch of the feedback from last year's event, right? A couple of things that people said about last year's event. It was in the evening US time, which made it an extremely unfriendly time for European fans because it started at like 7 o'clock in the evening, which meant that it was after midnight in the UK and after 1 a.m. in Western Europe. But now they're doing it at 3 p.m. Eastern, which is going to be 8 p.m. UK time, 9 p.m. Western European time. So much more kind of international fan friendly from a timing perspective. Yet, as you say, the red carpet hosts last year were dreadful. They pronounced all the names of all the actors wrong. They clearly didn't know what they were talking about. And I
said it more polite than dreadful.
Yes.
But okay.
Yes, you were right, Jen. I knew what you meant, and I said what you meant, what you were thinking. And so, yeah, terrific. They've got Mary Chieffo, obviously, who's L'Rell on Star Trek Discovery, and then Jackie Cox, who obviously is now sort of cemented herself as a little bit of a bigger name in the Star Trek fan community since she did a show at Mission Chicago and then has done a couple of things for StarTrek.com in the interim. So, yeah, that's going to be great. And who knows what kind of announcements and reveals we'll get. I'm presuming probably Prodigy trailer seems pretty likely to me, since we'll be a month out from when hopefully the back half of season 1 will premiere.
Ooh.
Maybe initial teaser trailer for Discovery season 5, maybe initial teaser trailer for Strange New Worlds season 2, maybe a proper like episode footage trailer for Picard season 3, because that one,
That'd be nice.
will be only a couple of months away at that point. So
Not
I
that
say
far.
a couple of months away at that point. It's 2 weeks away, Star Trek Day. It's not like 3 months from now. So yeah, I think this is going to be, hey, it was fun last year, it was fun the year before, and I think it's going to be fun again this year too. Star Trek Lower Decks star and Brad Boimler voice actor Jack Quaid did an interview with Entertainment Weekly this past week to promote the return of Star Trek Lower Decks later this week, and used the opportunity to talk a little about his recent experience of filming the Star Trek Lower Decks crossover with Strange New Worlds that's expected to happen in Strange New Worlds Season 2. It was great. That cast was awesome, Quaid said. Ethan Peck and I have a bromance for the ages. We call it Spoimler, Spock and Boimler. It's amazing, but that whole cast is so friendly and welcoming and cool. We just had a ball, and we got to be directed by Jonathan Frakes, so what could be better? Quaid also confirmed that we will be seeing a live-action Brad Boimler in the Strange New Worlds episode. Boimler holds such a special place in my heart, Quaid said. He's one of my favorite characters I've ever played, but to be able to fully inhabit him, put on the uniform, make my hair purple, all that stuff, that was such a good time. And about wearing a Starfleet uniform for the first time, Quaid said, quote, I figured it would be sweaty because I tend to sweat a lot, but my God, that thing is not breathable. It looked really good, but there were those first few fittings where I had the purple hair, I had the uniform on, it just blew my mind. This coolest part was where I was able to study the show and look at how the artist animated Boimler and how he moved, and I was able to put a little bit of that in there. He also teased the expected appearance of Deep Space Nine in the upcoming 3rd season of Lower Decks, saying, quote, we actually get to see the station. We get to walk the promenade and you get to see some familiar faces. Jen, what was your reaction to learning that we're definitely getting live-action Boimler in Strange New Worlds Season 2?
Spoimler.
Boimler!
I'm dying. I literally, that's what I have written down, just Spoimler with little hearts on my paper. I'm obsessed with Spoimler. No, but what a great announcement. I mean, so now we know we're getting live action Jack Quaid and Tawny Newsome. We're getting purple hair. Yeah. Jack Quaid. We're getting directed by Jonathan Frakes. Boimler and Mariner in Strange New Worlds. That's insane. It's literally keeping me alive. Like I can't die before this episode comes out, like it's literally keeping me alive. Oh, I'm excited. It's going to be, I think it's going to be special. It's going to be hilarious. And I'm so glad that that was what I wanted. When we heard there was a crossover and weren't sure exactly what form it was going to take, this is what I was hoping for. So I'm super excited. And teasing Spoimler is just adding a dimension I hadn't even considered yet. So
yeah, my excitement for this one is through the roof now, I think. When they first announced it, I was like, oh yeah, go weird, do Who Framed Roger Rabbit style and like have animated Boimler and Mariner interacting with live action Pike and Spock. But now the more I think about it, the more I'm just like totally on board with like getting the Lower Decks characters in live action just to see those two and how they interact with each other and what they look like, and just like being in that live action universe with those two characters. I just think that's going to be so much fun. I can't wait. And I think they're just going to have like the best possible time doing it. It just so far, obviously folks have not talked much about these episodes, but every time they have, it's always been in this sort of sense of like, we just had the best time doing it. And I just feel like that's probably going to end up being what shows up on screen. That it's obvious everybody had a good time. Jonathan Frakes directed. I wonder who the writer was. Partially, I would be shocked if it ended up being Mr. Mike McMahon himself. That would be fun. Obviously, they've not said anything about that, but like, who better to pull off the Lower Decks characters than Mike McMahon himself? And he's done live action Star Trek in The Escape Artist. So
that's my new wish.
Yeah, so
the end of the show.
So I just think it'd be really cool if they did that. So
really cool.
I'm really excited about this one.
Yes.
And I want it now. I want to see it now. I want to see live action Boimler and Mariner interact. I want to see Spoimler, right? We all want to see. We want Spoimler. We want Spoimler.
Can't get enough Spoimler.
No.
Well, and it's funny too, because he talks in the article about how he tried to make sure that he was moving the way that Boimler moves in the cartoon and things like that. So he's doing little Boimler actions, and he just looks Oh, he did, like Tawny Newsome and Jack Quaid, they can pull off their characters so well. I cannot wait. It's gonna be a special one. It's gonna be special.
Yeah. And obviously we've got season 3 of Lower Decks coming up, which neither you and I can really talk about because we might have seen a number of episodes so far this season. So we won't dwell upon it because we don't want to spoil anything for anybody.
Yes.
But it feels to me like there's a lot of fun stuff coming up for people to look forward to.
Oh, yes. I'm not gonna say anything.
And then from there, we're on to season 4. But before we do that, we got 10 episodes of season 3 to look forward to, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, no spoilers, but it's excellent. There's a lot of fun coming up.
All right, well, let's return back to Ticonderoga and Trekonderoga by talking about how this past weekend at the Trekonderoga convention at the Star Trek The Original Series set tour in Ticonderoga, New York, set tour owner James Corley unveiled the first pieces of the planned sets for Star Trek The Next Generation that the tour announced it would begin building in an adjacent building a couple of years ago. At Trekonderoga, Corley debuted the holodeck arch, the helm and ops consoles from the Enterprise D bridge, and the complete set of aft consoles from the back of the bridge. Corley said they're on track to open the bridge of the Enterprise D to visitors in time for Trekonderoga 2023, so that's next year's Trekonderoga, and that additional Next Generation sets will follow in the 2-story building as space, budget, and time allows. An Enterprise D corridor and the 2-story main engineering set are high on the target list for Corley's vision for creating Next Generation sets of exacting detail to rival the original series ones in the main locations. Jen, we've obviously talked about the original series part of the original series set tour sets, but those few Next Generation pieces we had the opportunity to see, what kind of feelings did that inspire within you?
Oh yeah, I gasped when I saw them. It was incredible, and just the way they have it. It's not static. It's dynamic, and the graphics are on a video loop, and it looks like it's a working piece in a working control room. And it's amazing. It looks so good.
Yeah, those aft consoles, we had the opportunity to slip back behind the one of the sets where they had kind of set them up, and the next day they were going to start letting people on the regular tours through to start seeing them. And like you walk into this little dark room, and then you've got that full panel of computers, like, you know, fully lit up with the blue and the yellow LCARs and just like your classic nom nom nom, you know, like Next Generation color scheme. And then you start working your way down, right? So you've got engineering on the right, your favorite, of course. Yeah, we'll acknowledge that. And then, you know, mission ops and science 1 and science 2 and environmental. And Corley's been working with the Akudas on putting these together, and they did all the panels and, you know, did them just like the original Next Generation, even recreating. So they're all LEDs, obviously, at this point, because we're in 2022. But Mike Okuda built in little variations in the lighting so that it looks like there's still incandescent lighting strips behind the panel to really kind of, you know, to give you everything in terms of an exacting recreation of those Next Generation sets. Yeah, so authentic. And then all of the, you know, as you say, right, like they're not just static pieces, they're extremely dynamic in that they've set up little, you know, the little video screens within those ARC consoles play their way through some of those famous graphic sequences from episodes, right? Looking through the hydrogen atom in Night Terrors, which our friend Claire Little went nuts over, the tachyon detection grid from Redemption Part 2, the crystalline entity, the shuttle half kind of crashed into the side of a mountain in Skin of Evil, right? Like just cycling through all these famous episodes on all these screens in the right places for where, you know, they showed up in the episodes they showed up in. It was so great and so fun. And I had the opportunity to go to Star Trek The Experience. So like, obviously I've walked onto the bridge of an Enterprise, which was a truly religious experience, but I can't wait to onto this one because of the way in which I think it's just going to be a really, really exacting replica of being, on the set of The Next Generation, 1987 to 1994. And really hoping that by Ticonderoga next year, it's ready, because I'm definitely making a trip up there and having a very good time when I'm up there.
Yeah, because for me too, just TNG that's my era. So that's going to hit me even harder than a recreation of the TOS set. A recreation of the TNG set's going to hit me even harder. And I'm looking forward to it. And just the thought of that engineering set, coming down the pike. If I cried in at the original series one, I don't know what I'm going to do when I see that. When I see the TNG.
You see the
warp core,
pulsing lights of the warp core, and that just, that solid like thrum of it, really revving.
Even just the sounds. Yeah, definitely worth another trip up there.
I mean, worth many, many more trips up there, especially if they are opening a new Next Generation set every year, which would be really fun. Yep, you got the bridge the first year, corridor the next year, engineering year after, plenty of reasons to ultimately go back again and have a good time. And lastly this week, it appears that Simon & Schuster are preparing to publish their first 2 Star Trek Prodigy novels in early 2023. Listings for 2 Prodigy novels have begun appearing across the internet, and the authors of the respective books have confirmed that, yes, they are real. First up, Star Trek Prodigy Supernova will be a middle-grade novel scheduled for late January 2023 that ties directly into the forthcoming Star Trek Prodigy video game of the same name, which is expected to release this fall. Supernova will be written by longtime Star Trek author Rob Perlman in his first work of long-form fiction for the franchise. The synopsis for the book reads, quote, "When the protostar crash lands in a peculiar star system, the crew ends up separated, and Dal and Gwyn must work together to find their missing crewmates. They don't have much time, though. The nearby star is destabilized and in danger of creating a supernova. Then Dal and Gwyn discover evil droids patrolling the area, and they look just like the Watchers back in Tars Lamora. How will Dal and Gwyn confront this nightmare from their past and prevent an explosion in their near future?" And at the same time, Star Trek Prodigy, A Dangerous Trade by Cassandra Rose Clark will also be released. Rose Clark previously wrote a Star Trek Next Generation book for adults last year entitled Shazos Have Offended. The synopsis for A Dangerous Trade reads, quote, "While traveling through the Delta Quadrant, Protostar crew discovers a worn transporter coil on their ship. Despite Janeway's misgivings, the crew decides to trade a Starfleet-issue battery for new transporter parts at a market on a distant planet. Little do they know that a group of rogue traders are intent on getting their hands on something much bigger. The Protostar. Will the crew be able to defend their ship and stay out of trouble? Star Trek fans will love this brand new original story featuring all the heart, humor, and action of the Prodigy series. Both books will be available in hardcover, paperback, and ebook, and are currently scheduled for release on January 23rd, 2023, though that date may just be a placeholder. Jen, are you looking forward to the first 2 Star Trek Prodigy novels?
Yeah, oh, for sure. When that very first promo photo of the crew came out, before we knew anything about them, that's all we had was that one picture of the whole crew. The very first thing my kids said to me was, is there any books about these guys? That's what they like to do. They like to tie in what they watch with what they read. So they've been chomping at the bit.
Kids, me too.
Yeah, well, me too. Yes, but my kids, the target audience of these books, have been chomping at the bit for that. They call it the middle grade adventures, which actually could be a wide age range. So I'm not sure exactly what reading level it's going to be on. Yeah. It might be more towards my youngest kid than my 2 older ones, but it doesn't matter, especially Supernova is going to be based on the video game. The video game's coming out in October. So by the time January rolls around and this book comes out, they'll be deep into the game. They'll have beaten the video game and they will eat that book up. They love that they love tying in, like I said, the TV shows, but also the video games. They'll tying in everything with what they read. So they'll definitely going to eat that one up. And the other one too sounds like an interesting story. So we'll see, what reading level that's at for them. But I'm very excited. It's interesting to me too that there's hardcover and paperback available right away, which is nice because normally my kids get into book series and then and they have to have it the day it comes out, and then you pay this absorbent amount for hardcover, and paperback doesn't come out for another 6 months and they can't wait. So it's nice to have the option for either one too there. But yeah, it's about time. I'm excited. I hope this means there'll be more coming down the pike. There's so many things they can do with Prodigy in the book department. I mean, we should be seeing graphic novels, even just like not even original stories, just based on the episodes, you make a graphic novel out of that. The kids love them. That's a story they already know, and they just want to read it over and over again.
Yeah.
My youngest especially really loves that. I want tech manuals.
Sure.
But also want like series guidebooks and things like that. Like my kids will eat all that up. So hopefully this is the start of opening the floodgates for more tie-in books with Prodigy.
It feels like it from a tie-in merchandise perspective, right? I mean, if we look back at the last 6 months since Prodigy's season 1A ended, there's not been much, but like when you look forward for the next 6 months, we have the first wave of Playmates action figures coming this fall. So just in the next couple of months, I already have a set of those on pre-order. We have the video game, or Supernova, the video game, coming in October. We have these first 2 books coming early next year. I'm not going to say January because I think January 23rd is a placeholder, but like coming early next year. And the Star Trek shop started to put some, Prodigy merchandise in play. So it feels like it's just kind of starting to get going. The kind of promises they made back in when the show debuted late last year, where it's like, hey, we've got this big thing for kids and we're really trying to lean into it. And you can imagine all this sort of stuff we're going to do. And then it was like, okay, where's the stuff? And like, okay, where's the stuff? We love the show. Kids want the stuff. And like now it's finally starting to roll out a little bit, which is nice. Yeah. And as you say, hopefully it really is the floodgates starting to open of a more consistent release pattern for Prodigy merchandise and material, which since they have 30 episodes left still to show just of what we know has been announced and produced so far, they've got a lot of runway left for, continuing to have this kind of output with new Prodigy on the way to then kind of supplement it too. So yeah, I'm really excited for these books that, Star Trek has not done non-adult fiction in forever, and they've never done very much of it. The Starfleet Academy books that came out around the time of the Kelvin timeline, which was like Kirk and McCoy at the Academy, and then the original Starfleet Academy book, the pocketbooks sort of era in the 1990s, Worf's first adventure, and like, it was sort of it was a lot of the TNG crew like at the Academy. And then there was a series after that, a Deep Space Nine one, which was about Jacob Nog, that ran for like 10, 13 books, something like that. And that's really it, right? Like, so it's cool that they are now doing more of that with Prodigy, and that we have more of that to look forward to. And Rob Perlman's great. He's written some great fun kind of, non-fiction-y books for Star Trek and a little bit of fiction. He just did The Girl Who Made the Stars, a prose version, and I think it's got like there are illustrations in the book too. I just got it in last week. And then Cassandra Rose Clark wrote a very fun Next Generation novel, which, I enjoyed quite a bit last year. So, and that's the one thing that makes me think, to that question about what reading level will the books be pitched to. I actually wonder if they're both listed as middle grade novels, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Supernova book pitches younger and the Dangerous Trade book pitches a bit older, given Cassandra Rose Clark has written adult Star Trek novels, and I don't know, that doesn't feel it doesn't feel like you switch back and forth between writing like true middle grade books and adult fiction. I think you could probably go back and forth between more young adult fiction and kind of adult fiction, but anyway, I guess we'll find out when we get the books in our hands.
Usually when they say middle grades, that usually means like a 3rd to 7th grade range, but that could skew a little younger, a little older, and that would be nice. And
it's just nice to have some Star Trek book announcements again.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, we've talked about the facts, and now let's speculate on what's going to happen in the future of Star Trek.
You make some very good points, Captain, but it's still all speculation and theory.
So each week, my guest and I give you a wish or theory about any of the shows or the future of the franchise. So Jen, let's hear your theory or wish for this week.
Oh, I'm just going real silly this week.
Do it. Well, I love silly.
I stole remember I said my wish was going to be the Mike McMahon writing.
Yes.
So that's definitely a new wish that I have, just based off what you just said earlier. No, but I'm just going silly here. So, we are doing silly things. We're doing this Strange Worlds Lower Decks crossover, they're really opening things up. And we always talk about there being a musical episode at some point, and speculation, because, we have Broadway people in Discovery, and and then Stranger Worlds is doing weird things, and then Lower Decks, we Noah Wells is a singer, and Tawny Newsome, and there's so many things you could do with that, and my wish is that they go that route for Prodigy.
Prodigy.
We have Brett Gray is an amazing singer, and I think they should take advantage of that. I think that's something my kids would enjoy if they did music and Prodigy. I think they would listen to that over and over and over again. I think that'd be really fun. I think that'd be a really fun way to showcase some singing in Star Trek. I think they should go really silly and do different things in Prodigy, because that's what, do musical episode, not like a full musical, but to like have them sing, do a holiday episode. You know what I mean? You could do all these silly things that you don't get to see too much in Star Trek. Do it in Prodigy is probably a good place to put it. Because I know my kids are up for anything to go anywhere with that Prodigy crew already, and I think I think it's nice that they have a legit serious storyline, meaningful, and but I think that there's also so much room for fun, and I think I want to see Dal sing. That's my wish, to see Dal sing, to hear Dal sing, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I love that theory. I mean, anybody who says that singing doesn't work in Star Trek or shouldn't work in Star Trek has clearly never seen the original series, right? In which, like, by episode 3, you had full-on singing taking place from various different characters. One of your favorite scenes in the whole franchise comes fairly early. One
more time.
Yep. Wow, that's so fun. Uhura obviously is a great singing voice.
Right.
The Way to Eden's full of songs, right? Like, that episode is full of songs. And yeah, granted, it's not the greatest episode of all time, but does the singing feel particularly out of place for Star Trek in The Way to Eden? No. If you don't like The Way to Eden, it's because it's not a great episode, not because there's a ton of singing in it. And so why not bring back a little bit of singing in Star Trek, right? And Prodigy, I agree with you. I think that is a great place to do some of that stuff and, have it be fun and vibrant and something that's going to, that kids are going to respond to in a really cool way and allows them to do something a little bit different. And yeah, if the actors have the talents, by all means use them. And I've also I've also sort of felt that. I mean, I'm perfectly comfortable with Discovery doing a musical episode if they want to, or any of the shows doing a musical episode. Right. Why not? Nearly 900 episodes of Star Trek. What's one musical episode going to do to anybody's precious canon? If you don't like it, don't watch it again, right? And they've still got 899 episodes of Star Trek to enjoy. So yeah, I'm fully on board with that. As bring on the singing, especially in Prodigy, but any of the other shows too. I'm not precious about it. I think it has been a part of Star Trek's DNA since 1966, and it's just been away for a while. There's no reason not to bring it back.
Yeah, I think I'm also just still bitter that they had Scott Bakula as their lead, and he didn't sing once, not once.
Yeah.
I'm still bitter. No, but I think I just want them to do silly things like that. Like, that's why this crossover makes me so happy, because I love Star Trek. I love when it's meaningful, when it's purposeful and serious and all that. I do, like, that's why I love it. But I want that, but I also need right now in the year 2022 to have some frivolity in our lives, and and what better forum than Star Trek, which should be a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Star Trek is a little bit of everything. And yeah, let's play up on that, on the silly factor for a little bit. That's just what that's what I need right now. I need more spoiler in my life.
Somehow I knew it was going to come back to spoiler, and here we are.
It has to. All right, let's hear your wish or a theory.
Okay, I tested this theory on you guys in Ticonderoga, and you seem to respond to it fairly well. So okay, I'm gonna hit the rest of the listening audience with it, which is, there's obviously been this big question about Star Trek Discovery season 5. What will the status of Mary Wiseman be on the show? Right, obviously we had season 4 of Discovery. In the 5th episode of the season, Tilly left the Discovery to take a job at Starfleet Academy and was basically absent from the rest of the season until the season finale, when she came back and helped Admiral Vance save Earth from the DMA. And so was not a departure for the character entirely in that she popped back up again, but it was definitely a significant downgrade for the character's status on the show. Mary Wiseman's name fell out of the opening credits. It was clear that for season 4, past episode 5, she was a special guest star character, not a member of the main cast. And so, and whatever her reasons for that are her own, she's welcome to have them, or the show's welcome to have them. Whoever made that decision about season 4, good on them, Godspeed to them. But there is this interesting question about season 5, right? I mean, she showed up in the season finale. What's her status on the show? And it is something that Paramount has been a little bit tight-lipped about, and various members of the production have been tight-lipped about, right? They have indicated that Tilly has a role in season 5, but they've not kind of indicated how big or how small that role is. I have a theory, which is that Tilly will have a much larger presence in season 5 than she had in season 4. I don't know if my theory extends to she's back in the main cast for all 10 episodes, but just based off of my internet sleuthing, I have, because I'm a weirdo like that, I have a very strong suspicion that she is in multiple episodes, and I'll tell you why. So I have 2 big points of evidence for it. So they're filming season 5 right now. They started filming about 2 months ago. I think they'll probably run through the next 2 months to do the 10 episodes of season 5. And twice in the space of about 4 or 5 weeks, Emily Coots, who plays Detmer, I was either on her Instagram or Instagram stories, posted a selfie with Mary Wiseman. Now, we know Emily Coots is in Toronto filming for Discovery, which means that Mary Wiseman was also in Toronto filming for who knows what, but presumably filming for Discovery if the two of them are hanging out together. And that's a long enough period of time between those images, and they were clearly in different places at different times, that says to me, Mary Wiseman, if she's been there for several weeks, is in more than one episode, because it takes about 10 days to film an episode. If it was in a 10-day period, you could say, all right, that's the same episode. But if it's outside of a 10-day period, perhaps it is multiple episodes. The second sort of data point on my theory is that Mary Wiseman was announced as a guest for the 56-year mission, which is taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada, tomorrow through Sunday, and she canceled. She's one of the guests that canceled and pulled out of the convention. And who else is among the cancelees? Well, there's certainly people like John Delancey, who canceled for COVID, which a little concerning since he was just in Ticonderoga with us like 3 days ago, but luckily I didn't have any interaction with Mr. Delancey himself. Zachary Quinto canceled, which is terrific because I paid the $125 for his photo art, which I now have to go and redeem the value of for somebody else. And a lot of the Discovery actors also cancelled. Blue Del Barrio just cancelled today. Some of the secondary characters like Ronnie Rowe cancelled. Sarah Mittich cancelled. Patrick Kwok Chun is still coming, but he's changed his day of appearance. Sonequa Martin Green is still coming, but she's changed her day of appearance. Ashley Rapp, Doug Jones are still coming. So there's clearly been, like, when Paramount was licensing creation to be the official convention, they would make a special effort to get the Discovery actors from Toronto to Las Vegas for the convention. Now it's not an official convention. They're not doing that anymore. If the act does not have filming around the convention, they can travel. If they do have filming, then they've got to do the filming. They can't travel. And it's a long way to get from Toronto to Las Vegas. And so Mary Wiseman being one of those two tells me that in addition to her being in Toronto filming and is behaving very similarly to a number of the Discovery kind of actors, maybe she's back as a regular Discovery actor again. Again, I don't know how many episodes, but my very strong suspicion is that it's more than 2 or 3 at this point, and there's only 10 episodes in the season. So that's my theory. I think we're going to get more Mary Wiseman in season 5 relative to the length of the season than we got in season 4. What do you think about that?
Well, I hope you're right. Tilly's amazing. Yeah, no, it makes sense too, because I think they, especially seeing what you did in the finale, I mean, they're obviously not planning on dropping the whole Starfleet Academy thing. I could see that being a bigger deal in the next season, and based on your evidence, quote unquote evidence,
my internet sleuthing.
Your internet sleuthing. It does
quote unquote evidence. Like what does that mean? Quote unquote evidence. Goodness sake. Rock solid.
Rock solid. No. Yeah. I mean, she's in Toronto for a reason, right? And yeah, and she's in for that long. Yeah, that's good news for all of us. She's great.
Watch after this is going to be announced as the star on the remake of Criminal Minds, and they're doing it in Toronto.
Hopefully not. Hopefully she's with us in Discovery. But yeah, I can see it happening.
Do you have a theory or a wish for Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds, Lower Decks, or Prodigy that you'd like to share? Tweet them to me at WeeklyTrek or email them to me at weeklytrek@tricordertransmissions.com, and I might feature your theory in a future episode. Well, that's all the time we've got for this episode of Weekly Trek. Thank you so much to my guest, Jen Tift, for joining me today. Jen, how can people contact you if they want to continue the conversation?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Ida Quarks, and my podcast is Snaptrack.
And you can find this show on Twitter at WeeklyTrek and me at Alexander T. Perry. And if you enjoy the show, please consider leaving us a 5-star review on your podcast player of choice. And please check out some of the other great shows on the Tricorder Transmissions. And if you like our shows, please also consider becoming a Patreon of Tricorder, which you can find at patreon.com/the Tricorder Transmissions. And lastly, if you're looking for Star Trek news on the internet, I hope you will turn to trekcore.com. Well, thank you, Jen. Thank you to all of my listeners. And until next week, live long and prosper.